Good morning, welcome to day 105. Today will be the last full day of hiking. Tomorrow I'm only hiking in the morning to go into Harper's Ferry, the last few miles. So from this point now, I only have about 20 miles. I didn't really do that many miles yesterday. I did actually less than 10. I figured it out at like 9.5. But I ended up at Bear's Den Hostel, and it was already hot by the time I arrived there. And I was kind of struggling with, there's like a door code that has a riddle you have to solve, like what's the mileage between these two shelters, and include the, fractional miles, and then, that's the door code that you get. I don't know. I figured it out eventually, also with help from far out comments, but my brain wasn't working. But I made it in there. Really nice, relaxing lounge there that I just chilled in for a while. And then mid-afternoon yesterday, I walked, it was a 0.7 miles down the road, and there's a really huge brewery, kind of pricey. They had some okay beers on tap. There's one I got that was pretty okay. Uh, and then, they had a giant Bavarian pretzels, and they had great burgers, all pretty pricey. But, whatever, I'm celebrating. That's the last, probably the last trail meal I'll have. Guilt-free, lots of calories and whatnot. Yeah, and then, yeah. So and then I walked back, and I was satisfied. I ended up being the only one in the bunk room last night. It was kind of weird. I couldn't really figure out what was going on, though. There were definitely people who were coming in and out. There was one guy who said he was into horse riding, so I guess he was riding horses. Sounded like he was from the UK or overseas or something. And then two like people who were kind of dressed army style. I don't know what they were doing, but they didn't sleep there. And one lady who was, I think, traveling around in her car, that she took a peek in the bunk room a couple times, and I couldn't really understand. She seemed friendly, but I don't know. It was a little awkward. I wasn't sure what. I wanted to understand what people were thinking, and why are people in here? What are they doing? Are they staying here? It's very confusing. But anyway, it worked out, and yeah, I was only the only one there. And it was cool, but yeah, it cooled down at night finally, and it cooled down this morning. But unfortunately, this morning, it's not going to be as hot today, so, but the air is full of smoke from Canada wildfires, and already today, it says that the air quality is unhealthy, not unhealthy, it says air quality is dangerous, it says. But you know what, I don't know what to do. Like, am I just supposed to sit around all day? I gotta make some progress, so I'm gonna maybe take it easy, and then be careful. But yeah, I can't even see anything out of this. It's a supposed viewpoint over here. Flip this around. There's just nothing out there. I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, today I'll see how far I get. There's another sort of trail center, but I need to make more progress than that. So my goal is to get pretty close to Harper's Ferry, get to a campsite, and then tomorrow only have about 4 miles, into Harper's Ferry. Partly the reason for that timing is also my family wants to come on and meet me again, so I think that'll be more convenient for them in the morning. And then I can predict the time a little better as I'm a little closer. But anyway, so today, oh my gosh, it's really bad. The smoke is really, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's not fog. That is, well, maybe a little bit of fog. I'm not sure, but I think that's mostly smoke. I can barely see the road down there. Anyway, but yeah, I think I'm good for today. I think I got about 13 miles. That's about my regular range, right? So that's where I just came from. That was another access point to Bear's Den. But now I'm leaving Bears Den, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, get to a campsite. It'll be the last camp of the whole trip this time, and I have one more meal, one more dinner to prep, and that's it. Yeah, I was thinking yesterday, not looking forward to. I'm looking forward to some things, but not others. But I'm kind of remembering what it's like going back to normal life, and yeah, I'm gonna have to think about job and all that stuff again, and start figuring that out. It made me a little depressed yesterday, but I'm like, oh crap, I have to come back into real life, basically. But that's okay. I got what I wanted out of this trip, and satisfied. In 20 miles now, I have completed the entire Appalachian Trail. Half of it in 2019, half of it this year in 2026. So I'm proud of that. I feel good. And just got to keep rolling forward, figure out what the next thing is. Set a new goal. But this one will be in the books. And this will also be one where it's like, I won't have regrets, if I'm on my deathbed, if I get cancer or something. I won't be like, oh yeah, I should have finished the Appalachian Trail. No, I did it. I was a person of action. I did it. Anyway, enough rambling for now. See if I'm making some progress today. I'm feeling really good. Let's see about this air. I think that's my biggest challenge today. Thankfully, it won't be as hot. I think the high is 90 today. The heat index yesterday with the humidity and everything, it was like 100 degrees. Anyway, so it'll be a little better. But there's always some environmental challenge here. Today it's the smoke. So anyway, go onward and let's make some progress. Maybe I'll take some more video today. I mean, this will be the day to fill up the video. I don't have to worry about space management. But anyway, let's go onward. Well, it's the evening, and I don't often do these videos, but I hope you'll indulge me because this is going to be my last full day here, and I've just arrived at an unofficial campsite. So basically, yeah, my sister had a good idea, and I did this for her. I want to show the process of picking a tent site, setting up the tent, showing a bit of inside. What she mentioned was kind of a comparison to the old MTV, I think an MTV show, the cribs or whatnot. Like, I'll show you my crib, the inside of my tent and everything. Not very interesting, but you know, I think I'm gonna forget a lot of this too. Now that I'm in the rhythm and everything, I think it's fun to document. But I'm gonna switch this around a bit. I've just been coming off the trail here. Oops. So I want to back up a little bit, but so I found out about this unofficial tent site on an app that I have, and they basically dropped the mile marker, so I knew this was here. But as you're hiking all the time, you see a lot of these too. I actually took a wrong path. I took a what I thought was a path to this campsite. It was a path to nowhere, or I think someone's house, or I don't know what that was. It was kind of weird, but yeah, it was definitely a well-marked path, but kind of didn't go anywhere. So I backtracked, and then I kept hiking in the hopes that I could find this. And sure enough, I've spotted it. So it kind of jumps out at you. You can see it on the right. It looks like a clearing, and actually there's a little path. Someone's put some logs here to say, no, this isn't the trail. Um, that's the AT up there, but this is a trail, unofficial side trail. And yeah, who knows the last time someone used this. So it's a little grown in, but yeah, I mean, obviously this is a, a campsite, and this is a good do not leave no trace principle. You want to use a site that's already been established. You don't want to. So, for instance, like it would be not kosher for me just to go out on the greenery here and pitch my tent on top of these plants and kill off the plants. That's not cool, right? I mean, someone's already used this area. So the principle of leave no traces, just use this if it's already here. There's obviously a fire pit here. Some folks have used that. I haven't used them at all in my hikes. And you got a little sitting log here, someone set up here. So, you could cook your meal. Even if you're not using the fire, you could probably cook over here. And then someone on the app, they said, oh, there's room for at least 6, tent sites here. So, and you can kind of just make out these flat areas where there's no greenery, or, maybe barely some greenery trying to regrow. But so basically the first step, the first thing I do is look for something that's like reasonably flat, because you don't want to be at an angle. You don't sleep better that way. You don't sleep well that way, and yeah, you tend to knock into the tent and roll over. Yeah, anyway, I'm already a violent sleeper. You don't want to roll over and hit the edge of the tent and all this other stuff. So, I mean, theoretically, people can even make this work. I think this is probably going to be it for me. So, like, I think this looks pretty nice. This is just standing out as something. Like, I don't want there to be a lot of rocks here. One of my next steps would be clear this out. But actually, most importantly, the next step is okay, I picked out something that looks reasonably flat. First thing you got to do is look up and, answer the question, there's actually a little, I guess this is like an official, Count Festus, it says. Interesting. Anyway, I guess it's not so unofficial. But anyway, I got distracted here. Answer the question, are there any widowmakers? So widowmaker branches are dead branches that have no leaves on them. Pretty easy to identify. Or entire dead trees. So there's little tiny twig branches that are dead off of here, but they're not enough to cause damage or kill me or whatnot. Oh, look, there's some signs of fall up here. I've been seeing a little bit of that. Can you see this actually? Where am I here? Hold on here. Where is my gimbal? Okay. Can you see? Yeah, there's a little bit of signs of fall up here. Anyway, I don't I don't think I see widowmakers up there, which is good. So there's the non-zero chance, if there's a widowmaker, especially if it's on a windy night, that thing would fall and potentially kill you. I didn't want to mention it to freak people. I don't want to freak people out until now, but actually earlier last month, about less than 10 miles north of me, there was a day hiker, I think a car camper, who had gone out, and there was a forest that was full of dead trees from a fire, and one of the trees fell on them. And I heard this story from another through hiker. It was at near Jennings Creek. I still haven't seen any news about it, which is weird. But they tried to go help them, but by the time the paramedics came, they had no pulse. So this dead tree basically like fell on them and crushed them, and they died. Not a good way to go out. Anyway, not a good thing to think of now. But anyway, yeah, I think I think this is going to be a fine site. It looks like it'll be fairly safe, pretty flat. The next thing that I like to do is something I already mentioned, just to protect the floor of my tent. I used to have a tent footprint, what it's called, so it'll protect it even more. But I decided that that's unnecessary, and I just shipped it home. Uh, See a little bit of trash here. I try to clean it up sometimes if I'm not feeling lazy. Maybe I'll feel less lazy tomorrow. I don't know. Often you see there's a little piece of plastic there too. Often you can see this better with a headlamp. So this step is going to remove any like easy to move sharp rocks or whatnot. Another, yeah, I think that's fairly good. This is some little acorn cap here. Make sure to get that out of there. Okay. And I think there's some roots in there. I don't want to uproot them literally. So I think that's going to be the orientation. I think it'll be, it looks like, just looking at it now, it looks like this part on the left is a little more raised, and this is a little lower. So it'll be better to put my head down here and then lay out this way. But I'm going to test that out when I lay out my tent. So let me pause it now, and I'm going to get out my tripod, and you can see the next setup, and I'll try to do a time lapse too of my tent setup. Okay, not too shabby here. Um, some tips that I have. The thing that I messed up very initially was getting the height um, wrong on the poles. But the way that I think I've set it up is I set it at like 120 and 120 centimeters. I think the official recommendation is like 130 or 135 or something. I think that makes the bathtub inside, which I'll show you in a second. I think that makes it even taller. But I seem to get by pretty good with this. Some tips. If there's chance of rain, it's actually really important that the side with the Z-Packs logo here and here is facing into the wind. If it's windy or rainy or whatnot, this side should be facing into the wind. so the wind will be coming out, out and off of it. Also, really important if it's rainy that this whole thing is taut here. That these two ends, this one and this one, are tight and taut, and this whole strip here is like really, it has tension. See, it doesn't really have a lot, which is fine because there's not a chance of rain. So if you don't do that correctly, basically what happens is, this part gets kind of flappy, and you can imagine, your feet are knocking it over and everything. What happens is the rain will come off and pull up a bit inside and get inside there through that mechanism. So you want to make that taut. In this case, I'm not worried because it's not going to rain. Some other things I found, some people find this annoying. See, it looks like there's a big gap there in the doors. So you can close this off with this, this tie, and then you'll still be left with a little gap down at the bottom here. But what I've found is, what I do is I just take one of these and I fold it over, a couple times to the point where this is sort of like twisted up in a bunch here, and that'll completely close that off. Again, I'm not really concerned of doing that tonight, but if you want some more privacy or more protection from the rain, that's pretty important. These things are kind of optional, but I think it's also good. Keeps it, basically your head is going to be at one end of these, so this keeps the space open for your head, so your head doesn't touch against the top of the tent. But I have this on both sides. I don't know, I've just been doing that like that. Another tip, if the top, it looks like it's collapsed in here, just angle these out more so that it's like a circus tent. You just angle them inside so that, they're kind of tilted. You can see it's a little bit tilted facing inside. And then if it's loose up here, just pull this down. That's what that's for, and make that tighter. Make sure that's tight. What I usually do at the very end here is I just go around and tighten everything. Usually on the bottom here, just make sure everything's tight. Usually some of the stakes come up at that point too. This one's coming up a bit. And then you have an opportunity to make this taut again. See, just like the other side. See, if it's loose like that, the water will get in. But you can make it taut by readjusting these. Oh, I really like the soil here. It's really nice. Really easy. It's been rockier at some places recently. But anyway, yeah, that's a Z-Packs duplex, and I'll show you inside next. But yeah, basically, first thing when I get to camp, pick a spot, make sure there's no wooden makers, make sure it's flat, and then set up just in case it's going to rain or whatnot. But also, I sleep with my tent inside my pack, and I know bugs are crawling up onto it right now. So basically, the less time bugs have to do that, the better. So I get my tent set up, I'm going to put my pack in right away, and then I have time to sort of prepare dinner, which I don't think I'm going to cook anything, but I'm going to snack basically. But let me show you the next step. So I'm going to move, next time you see me, all this will be moved inside, and you'll see where I put my water and everything. So hold on a second. Okay, welcome back. Now you've been transported inside of my Z-Packs duplex tent, and I'll show you a little tour of what it most every night out on the trail has been like. So I rarely stay in shelters, except the last couple days because I've been waking up at 3:30 a.m. and I want the least amount of preparation to deconstruct the site and everything as possible. But usually, most of the time, I've been in my tent, so I'll switch it around here. You can see that I fit my pack in here. I've got my, it's a 20-degree sleeping quilt, so, and I'm sweating now, so yeah, if I had unlimited funds, I would definitely buy a better, more seasonally appropriate quilt. But anyway, this one was pricey, and it's lasted me through the whole hike, basically 7 years ago. But I'm happy. I've been struggling with it in the summer, though. But yeah, here's my pack, and I've unloaded some stuff from the pack. Yeah, this is another thing. My puffy jacket, I haven't used that forever. Um, but yeah, I usually keep my shoes out over here, and I take out the insoles so they can dry out. In this case, it hasn't really been raining. I'm thankful, so it doesn't really need to dry, but I've just gotten in the habit. The cover from my tent, I use that to prop up my contact lens solution. It's a little thing that needs to stay upright. So I use that to prop it up over here, and that's worked so far. That's good, because usually I don't want to put it outside because animals can knock it over, and it's not level and it's dirty out there. And anyway, that seems to be a pretty fine spot for that. But usually I put that over in the corner here, and then I put my basically the opposite side of where the door is that I usually want to come in on, which is going to be over to the left. And this is the side that I've chosen, and I've set up my sit pad, my Z-Pack sit pad, and my camp shoes. Put them out here. I usually set them up there so I can walk around camp, and if I need to go to the bathroom or whatnot, I can walk out there. And I got my water out here. It's probably blurry actually. Unzip. Yeah, so yeah, this is not exposed. This is like a typical tent, right? You got a screen to protect you from the mosquitoes, which are pretty bad tonight, I have to say. But anyway, yeah, you unzip that, and then you can see I got my food out there, which I'll delve into, and then I'll attach that to a tree, obviously, before I go to bed. But I got my water out here because in the unlikely event that there's a leak or a bear decides to puncture this, which has happened. That happened to a hiker I was hiking with, rattlesnake. A bear just decided to claw on there, and he's got some marks, but all the water came out basically. If that happens, you don't want that getting in your tent. So that's why you have this bathtub design of the tent. Well, let me close that up again, because although it feels nice and I feel a breeze, I have to do that. You can also see this is really modular, right? So I've already wrapped up one of the doors here to let in some of the breeze. The recommendation is actually open up on the other side too. Any of these, it doesn't matter, to let a breeze through. I think I'm going to end up opening up all four of these, which is something you can do. And like, it doesn't matter privacy wise, because no one is here basically. um, and I don't think it's going to rain, so I think I can do that. If it does rain in the unlikely event, these are nice adjustable things that pull up that bathtub a little higher. I'm not gonna have to worry about that tonight, but anyway, there's these on both sides here that usually you can fiddle around with and adjust. Yeah, otherwise you can see that if this isn't adjusted at the right angle, the water will roll off in a bad direction. I do have problems sometimes with if there's a heavy rain, the rain will splash down and bounce off the soil, and then bounce onto here, and I could feel a little bit of mist. But usually it's not really a problem. And then, as you can see, like you can see this, this is my trekking poles. Someone had a question about that before. But yeah, these are things that I already hike with, so I don't need just, you don't need extra weight for poles. This is what's called a non-freestanding tent because of that. It doesn't have a frame. There's no, because it makes it really lightweight. But the downside is it doesn't have a frame, so you're not actually able to set up. You need the tent stakes to end these poles to actually give it structural support. But I like the design, and it's also single wall. So this is one single wall, and when you breathe, sometimes the condensation builds up here and it drips off onto you. Some things I don't like about this, but that's I think nothing's perfect. Let me see. So yeah, I already showed. Let me put my sleeping bag. I doubt I'm gonna use my sleeping bag tonight. So even this tent, this is my sleeping pad here. This reflects some body heat back at me, and it's already kind of hot. So I'll probably spend a few hours just sleeping on the cold ground, and then when it gets cold enough, maybe switch to this. This is my pillow, my little little tiny pillow. And then let me switch it around here. So this is where, oh, I think I have my head set up. I need to switch things around, but it's okay. I just realized that I think I'm reversed from the way I need to be, but no worries. Um, this is where I would ordinarily have my head set up, my pillow. Um, and basically I got stuff. Actually, they say you shouldn't eat in your tent, but I don't know, I've been breaking the rules. These are smellable things. These are things that need to be put into my food bag and then stored properly before I go to bed. Toiletries bag. This is what is it, my thermarest. This is like you can use this as a pump sack if you get tired of breathing into it. You can just use this to capture the air like a big bagpipe, and then use that to inflate. I haven't really used that much. I end up using this as like a storage sack for stuff in here. Before I go to bed, I sort of clean up and put all this stuff in here. It's a good way to organize it. But yeah, toiletries, other toiletries, foot care stuff, electronic gadgets. This is my electronics bag, spare batteries, wall charger, all that sort of thing. This is all stuff for my video equipment. Basically, I got my SD cards in here, and then usually my little tripod, but it's attached right now. Tripod, my extra battery, all the stuff related to my video camera. And then this is like miscellaneous, but I got a book in here now, a little pocket book. I got all sorts of my tiny first aid kit and whatnot. I'll probably go over this in a separate video, but I'll show you exactly what I'm carrying. But usually I have this in this stuff sack just to sort of organize it, and usually it's kind of minimal here. So, but yeah, the important thing when it rains, really got to make sure that the corners of the bathtub are down like this, like actually well formed, so the rain will, even if it floods out here, a couple of inches or whatnot, it'll bypass you. So that actually happened the first night on Springer Mountain. It was 2.5 inches of rain fell that night, or it's something crazy, and there was just a stream of water coming through. It's happened before too, where you can see the water bubbling up down here, but because you're in the bathtub, basically, like, and if you've set it up correctly, you're not affected by that. The worst thing is just the splashback, I think, especially from the corners. So I think you can adjust the pitch and adjust this. I've been tinkering with that for so long, but I'm not going to worry about that tonight. I don't need to worry about that. Um, but yeah, I think that's about it. And yeah, there's these little pockets. I usually keep um, some, I don't know, I got my credit cards and stuff in there. It's just handy stuff to organize things. Um, but yeah, I think that's about it. And I'm definitely gonna I'm gonna take down all four of these doors because it's just too hot. What did I want to mention? Oh, another thing. Yeah, this zipper design is kind of annoying. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. You can see, like, how am I supposed to do this? I can kind of do that, I guess. And then, okay, not too bad, but I've struggled with this a little bit. You kind of need two hands sometimes yeah, unless you do that. That's been annoying. There's also some bugs that like to climb up here. There's harvestman spiders. I'll see if there's any tomorrow morning, but they usually like to climb up here for some reason and sort of hang out up here. So I gotta wake them up in the morning, and I give them a polite like wake up, and they don't do anything. So then I give them a big slap, and then they sometimes just fall off. Anyway, those guys really like to hang out up there. Also some other bugs and flies. I think they like the carbon dioxide that flows up here. Another tent I had a similar deal, but I like that this one, not as many bugs get trapped up or they can find their way out. In my previous tent, the copper spur, the big Agnes, it was a double wall, and the bugs would get trapped on the upper wall, and you could just hear them buzzing around all night and in the morning, and they get so frustrated. But anyway, because they get attracted by the carbon dioxide that you're breathing, and they just hang out up there. But anyway, I think that's about it. And I think just winding down, I think I'm just going to snack for dinner. And wow, it's still hot, but it's been a kind of interesting day. It's been a challenge. There's smoke from Canada wildfires. So I definitely feel that in my throat a little bit. And I felt that a little in my chest too. Actually, this morning it said that the air quality was very unhealthy. And I think it's actually improved a little bit. And I'm hoping it'll be a little bit better. But I didn't actually make it as far as I wanted today, but I made it like a good amount. I made it within my 13 to 15 mile range, my modest range, right? So pretty happy about that. Just means I got to wake up earlier tomorrow. I'm gonna meet my family at 10 a.m. at Harper's Ferry, and that'll be the end of this hike, this entire hike that's taken 7 years. So last that last half and 7 years ago, and then the remainder half this year. So I'm excited. But yeah, I'm gonna wind down, and yeah, I think that's it for now. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, see you. Bye.